Hello yet again. This is your host, USS Endeavor, aboard the legendary Khabarovsk, the top of the Russian DD line, and we are taking a look at how a full concealment build could work on the Khab. I'll be honest, it's not something that I'm used to playing. It's definitely not what I feel is the strong suit of this ship. But I think by the end of the video, you'll see that with enough practice, you can make it work. But it's something that I had to kind of get used to, and part of that is because of the rudder, which you'll see here in a minute. But on to the commander. We have Anton Gurin, which we have been using the entire time for our concealment builds. The destroyer AP shell penetration multiplier increases the pen. And then we have Swirsky and Bay for our concealment, typical destroyer build. Contact is imminent, increasing our torpedo speed by 4 knots. And then in the second slot, again, look at me now, which helps with our detectability. Third is the perceptive skill, which helps with our incoming damage with a bearing locator, which is always key. Smoke on the water, helping with our dispersion time with our smoke. And last, unstoppable, helping in case our engine gets knocked out. On to the consumables, the mod slots. We have Aiming Systems Mod 1 in the first, Propulsion in the second, Concealment in the third, and the last, the main battery reload. So on to the actual consumables now. You have the option for smoke or heal. I've elected smoke, and then our last is the engine speed boost. On to the ship stats themselves. Survivability is at 22,500, so it's slightly more, I think 500 more hit points if you don't build into it than the Delny. So it's relatively the exact same health pool, just slightly more. Artillery, we have now gotten 8 guns in 4 dual turrets that are the same caliber, reach out to 12.3, reload in the same 4.5 seconds, but have a really good 180-degree turn time at just over 10 seconds. HE shell and AP shell damage, as you can see, 1900 and 2600 respectively, with an 8% chance to set fire. So this is all really, really good. Moving on to the torpedoes, which there's a very interesting thing that I want to point out in these. You have the same amount of torpedoes, 10 and 2 quintuple launchers. However, if you look at the detectability range by sea, 0.6 kilometers. These are some of the sneakiest torpedoes that you can find. They only have a 6-kilometer range, and even with the 4 knots extra, you only get 62 knots. These things will sneak up and bite you unless you have your hydro on, which we're going to show in this video. AA defense, we're not facing a carrier, but it's about the same as the Delny with a 55 rating, reaching out to 5 to start. Maneuverability, 44.3 knots top speed is about as fast as what we're used to. However, our rudder shift time is ridiculously long, 11.1 seconds with a 760 meter turning circle radius, which is about the same as the Delny, but the rudder shift time is so slow. That's battleship quality. It's really bad. Concealment, you have 5.7, so we've gotten it down to about the same as the Delny. And our detectability while firing a smoke is the same at 2.9. We are detected by air at 3.3. So all this is about the same. Nothing's really changed here. But the thing with the Khabarovsk, with this 11.1 rudder shift, you have to plan your turns. Otherwise, you're going to hit islands all the time. On to my individual ship stats. I don't normally play it in this configuration, so this ship stats don't exactly reflect the build that I'm about to play. But I have a 58% win rate. On to the armor. This is one of the coolest features about it, like the Delny, except it has just a little bit more. These armor sections will resist up to 203 millimeters. So when you're up against a destroyer close range, it almost benefits going flat broadside, because you'll be able to resist their HE shells up close and cause negligible damage to your ship. So that's just my thoughts on it. Okay, so here we are on the map Haven. We're in the Khabarovsk, and we are spawned across from Charlie. It's a domination game mode, and we're the only destroyer on our team. So one thing we gotta be cognizant of and understand is that when you're at this tier, legendary tier, especially now, if you're playing it as when this video is uploaded, There's missions going on for Impendium, which is the special U.S. currency that's going on right now. And all those ships required to get that are American, because that's what the update is all about. It's about U.S. ships. Well, one of the things about the U.S. line, especially the cruisers, in fact, all the cruisers at this tier are equipped with radar. So a lot of the ships that you see in game that you're going to be going up against right now, like the Alaska or the Des Moines or the New Tulsa or it's just the Worcester, they all have radar, and they all have long duration, long range radar. So you have to understand that. Again, as the Khabarovsk and the only destroyer that is playing it from a concealed standpoint, we are going to just leak right in here into the cap. We're fast, so we can get in here quick. I was expecting to see potentially the gearing that has fast-firing guns, but he doesn't show up here. So we have all these ships that were right outside their range and right outside their radar range specifically, so that if they decided to pop it, I'm not going to get spotted. But the one thing that I have to be aware of is where I'm angled and where I'm pointing. You see, I'm about 9.1, 9.2. The Alaska's radar starts at 9, so I wanted to make sure I was just outside that. I'm not shooting my guns. I'm not popping my smoke. I don't want to give them any more information than they already know. They know I'm in here, but they can't spot me yet. Now that we have the cap, there's no reason to linger here, and because I had already set up my escape route, because you have to, the rudder shift is too slow to be able to change directions quickly. So you have to plan your path if you're going to pick this particular build. The other way in which I play it, I reduce the rudder quite significantly, so this becomes a lot less of an issue. But for this particular style of gameplay, I have to be aware of where I'm pointing, where I'm going. And see, I almost run to the island right here. I have to slow down, and then and in doing so, they're taking shots at me, and they hit me a couple times, but nothing serious, nothing dire. I did want to get a couple of shots just because these guns can set fires rather well, even though they're at an 8% chance. They do a pretty good job of setting fires. So wanted to go ahead and get a couple of cheeky shots out, but there's no real reason to stay in Charlie. They're not pushing the issue, and my team certainly isn't pushing the issue. Their gearing, which I spawned on the opposite side, didn't go for Bravo, and I don't know why, but we're going to go ahead and head on in there. Now, I am going to take a little bit of a risky play here because I've got my speed boost on. I am a fast ship, and my concealment is 5.7. But if the Alaska still has his radar, which he's pushing in, the Yamato's pushing in, and I only have 6-kilometer range torpedoes, I want to be able to utilize these, but I really want to get into Bravo. But in making this play, there's a chance I'm going to get spotted before I can get in there. So I'm going to go ahead and throw these very sneaky, very powerful torpedoes on the Alaska and the Yamato. Not spotted yet, but here in just a sec, I think I'm going to get spotted because I'm just cruising way too fast, and there I am. And since I am spotted, might as well start shooting. But they weren't pointing at me. They didn't know I was here. Now they do. But I'm going too fast, so they're only going to really get one shot here. The Alaska doesn't even get a hit off, and so because these torpedoes are super sneaky and they get spotted too late, we're able to take out both the Alaska and the Yamato with these torpedoes for a double strike and take them off the cap, making sure that they don't take that. We take both those ships. Didn't get a lot of damage, but ships killed and secured. Now we're in Bravo cap, so everything is going rather well. Not quite sure where the gearing is. They still have a couple of radars, and I was concerned about the Schlieffen, but I saw him briefly. He spotted way out there, so he didn't push. So we had a bunch of ships that could have countered us really hard, but decided not to. So we got a little fortunate with how as aggressive coming in here, and the gearing especially, I don't know what he was doing, but he left this cap wide open. We get an opening over this island to shoot at the Montana, so we might as well take these free shots, and we get awarded with a fire instantly. So that's always awesome, whether he damage cons it or lets it click and go. That's free damage, but he does damage con it. So if anybody's able to take another shot at him, we're going to be able to they're going to be able to set a permafire on him. The Schlieffen's awfully low, which is good because his secondaries are devastating and could really ruin our day. So now that we have both caps and we've secured both caps and they're both solo caps, we've done our job as the destroyer. I feel that at this point everything is just kind of bonus. Here our Colbert is asking for support and help, and he's really low and he's pushed up aggressively, so the only thing I can assume is that he's wanting smoke. So we're going to stop, back up, and we're going to be a team player. We're a low concealed destroyer relatively. For the Khabarovsk, it's pretty low at 5.7. So here I am, I'm telling him I'm going to support you, back up, and I'm going to give you smoke. There he almost got yeeted, so I was like, oh gosh. So here we're going to pop it right now, giving him the opportunity to just kind of back up and disengage. He thanks me for giving him that, and I don't have a problem. I'm not using it, so he might as well take advantage of it. And so the only thing I can do right now for him is just to give him information. So backing up, continuing to back up. And I think those shots were meant for the Colbert because I wasn't spotted this whole time and I get hit. So thankfully it didn't hurt too bad, but I still got a hit that was just random. So crazy. Now we're going to be pushing out because I want to find, where is this gearing at? I have no idea where he is. The Schlieffen was out here on the right-hand side, just off my right. The Grosser Kurfürst is right around that island, which is where I believe my bearing locator is pointing currently. And I have no clue where the gearing is. But there I see torpedoes coming in, and those are gearing torpedoes. So now he's kind of given me more information that I can use. He's somewhere on the backside of this island that I'm next to. Here I was debating throwing torpedoes, but I just honestly don't know if the Kurfürst is backing up or moving forward. He is, but he's outside of my torpedo range anyway. So I'm going to hang on to him and save him in case I get spotted relatively close from the gearing. I am located, which I'm assuming is from the gearing. He's got the same bearing locator on me. However, my bearing locator, unless he's right next to the Kurfürst, but he's not, because there the bearing just flips. And there I give information to where I believe he is. I give it to my team. Our friendly cruiser decided to pop his radar, and the gearing wasn't spotted. So now I have the gearing on bearing, and he has me. So I'm going to push in here and try to get him spotted. I think I can outspot him. I don't know. I don't know what configuration he's in. But there the torpedoes show up, and I quickly slow down. I almost take one, which would have been absolutely devastating. There we both get spotted at the exact same time. And here's what I'm talking about, where I go flat broadside against a destroyer that usually is going to be firing HE. I go flat broadside to him because I want him to hit my armored section. If you watch the damage that he's doing on me, not that much. See how much we're doing against him? Quite a bit. And we take our last shot, we finish him off. So I want to give my thoughts on the fully concealed Khabarovsk. It's not the best use of the ship, in my opinion. Now, I'm not telling you how to play your ship. You can play it any way you want. I wanted to kind of test this out for a couple of reasons. One, because I had no idea what a full concealed Khabarovsk would look like, how it would play. It did surprisingly well for what I could see. But because of the abysmally slow rudder shift for a destroyer, it's the worst rudder shift for a destroyer in the game. And you need to be able to shift and turn and reposition, and it is very, very hard to do so if you're just learning how to do it. Because if you're a destroyer player, the one thing that you are constantly used to is being able to shift and turn and rotate and be able to, make those maneuvers. You really can't in this thing. So you have to plan your turns and everything like that. So for that standpoint, I don't like it. The fact that it's relatively low concealed is actually pretty good. Here we get second on the team with the 2,700 base XP. GG's to our Montana on our team. It almost gets 3,000. And so thank you very much, guys, for watching. I'm going to be playing the Cobb with a completely different build, the Pocket Cruiser roll, which I really like and I think works a little bit better. So stick around for that. But I would say for the concealed Cobb, besides the rudder, which is a really big downside, this is still a relatively good ship and played well, as you can see. So that's going to do it for me today. Thank you again, guys, for watching, and I will see you in the next video. This is the USS Endeavor, signing off.